Hey, Red, how you doing?
Good, Gary.
So now you've gone through camp, you have everything installed. How satisfied are you when you walk out on the practice field with how your offense looks? And how does it compare, not schematically because you don't want to talk about that, but how does it compare in look personnel-wise with what you put on the field last year at SMU?
Great questions. I think, we're about to find out here in a couple of days, kind of how it looks and where we stand. I'm anxious to see our guys play. They've been great in practice, the way they're buying into what we're doing. But you just never really know as a coach till you get in a game situation, see how guys are going to respond. So, I think there has to be some realistic expectations from the standpoint, there was no spring ball for the most part. There was no summer. There was not a normal fall camp period of time. And so I've been really pleased with how our guys have really bought into what we're doing, attacked what we're doing. I do think they understand our expectations of the style and how we want to play, and they're fully committed to that. They've done really well in practice, but as you know, practice is nothing like a game. And so I think we'll go through some growing pains when you're going from a complete shift in style of play from what had been done here in the past to what we're trying to accomplish. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see our guys play, see what they do, see how they handle it all. Like I said, there'll be some growing pains and probably some things that, we'll have to get through along the way. But we'll have a good idea Thursday night, just, how far we've come and how far we still have to go. With regards to just stylistically of what we've done in the past, I just think every team's different. And I think good coaching is playing to the personnel you have and playing to the strengths of the players you have. And ultimately, it's not what we know as coaches, it's what they know and what they can do. And so we're doing our best as coaches to put them in positions to be successful and do what hopefully we think they do best. But, these first 2, 3, 4 games, we're going to be learning what it is they do best and how they respond. And so I think that'll be a process.
Coach, we're going to go to David Lake at InsideTheU. David, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Yeah, Coach, you have a track record of offenses you've called of having strong rushing attacks. And I wanted to get your impression, coming out of camp on how that's looking. And, are you concerned at all that you guys are going to have to depend on a couple of true freshmen? Granted, they appear to be talented, but just what are your thoughts on that in general, I guess?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think you have to run the ball to win. You want to throw the ball to score, but you got to run the ball to win. And I believe in balance anywhere I've ever been. That's just my background. And I don't think it'll be any different here. We don't want to be one-dimensional. We want to be balanced. And I think Coach Justice and the O-line have done a really good job. Coach Hickson, the running backs, Coach Field, and those tight ends, those guys have worked extremely hard in what we believe we're going to do in the run game. We do have 2 young true freshmen that are really talented. Again, you don't really know what you're going to get till they get out there and do it, but we have a lot of belief in them. They've done well in scrimmages. But we also have a veteran in Cam Harris that I think will lead the way. And so we don't have to put those guys, hopefully, in situations they're not prepared for yet. And then, getting Robert Burns back as well helps. So we've got a good balance, I think, of veteran and young guys at the running back spot. But like I said, that's one of the things I'm anxious to see because I don't care what kind of offense you run and what you want to do. You got to be able to run the football if you want to be consistently successful.
Coach, with Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny?
Hey, Coach Lashlee. I know ultimately everything is measured by points and wins and losses, but I'm wondering when you sit there and you break down film and you review scrimmages and so forth, what numbers are most important to you as a coordinator? Are there certain analytics that tell you whether or not you're successful?
Yeah, there's a couple things you look at. I think the biggest stat in football, I think it's been backed up over the last couple of years, or one of the biggest stats, is just your explosive plays and turnovers ratio. And generally the team that creates the most explosives and turns the ball over the least, if those things go hand in hand, they win at a high percentage. And so, we're wanting to create explosive plays on offense. Obviously, our defense wanting to limit them. We're wanting to not, to value the football and not turn it over, and they're trying to take it away. And that's a big stat. So from an offensive standpoint, can we be aggressive? Can we create a lot of big plays while valuing the football? And I think third down and red zone get a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. Those are major situational spots in a football game. But you can really help yourself by being good on first down and starting drives off well. And so if you're looking from an analytic standpoint, those are probably some of the biggest things that we focus on. Obviously, we want to play with a little bit of tempo. So the more plays we get, we feel like the better we are. So that's probably some of the things we'll focus on.
then a quick follow, if I may. I was curious what De'Eric's completion percentage was in the scrimmages, and if you had any issues with drops, or for the most part, the receivers did a good job holding onto the ball.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I couldn't give you the exact stats, so I'd hate to give you a bad one. I thought, the first two scrimmages, it was some really good work, ones-on-ones. I thought he did some really nice things. I think as camp has progressed, we've caught the ball better at all positions, from receiver to running backs to tight ends. And then I think the last scrimmage was more of a mock game tune-up type situation. I thought some good things happened there too. So again, the good thing about the last scrimmage, we're in the stadium. You just, for me and half our staff, everyone's new. It's like everyone's a freshman. They're in a new system, doing something completely new. And you get in an environment that's a game against a really good opponent, but it really doesn't matter who the opponent is your first game. There's going to be some things that you just kind of feel your way through. And so I'm hoping that our guys just come out, play fast, play confident, and hopefully they perform to the best of their ability.
Coach, we have David Furones at the Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I want to get your evaluation of N'Kosi Perry to be the backup quarterback to De'Eric, and then also Tyler Van Dyke coming in as a freshman, and he's QB3 here.
Yeah, I think both those guys have had a very solid kind of fall camp leading up to this first game. Fortunately, we were able to get Tyler four practices, in the spring, so we had an idea. N'Kosi's played a lot of football. He's been in some big games. He's won some games here. And I think that experience definitely helps him, gives us confidence in him, gives him confidence in himself. I think he's been in those situations, and he's performed very steadily. Tyler Van Dyke has been really good for a freshman. He's very calm demeanor about himself. He doesn't seem to get too rattled, doesn't seem to get too high or too low, which is a good quality for a quarterback. Can really throw the football. But the thing he obviously lacks is he's never played a college snap. And so, but hopefully those guys will continue to get nothing but better. And in a year like this, you never know who you're going to need to count on. So we're really happy with those two guys and how they progressed so far.
Coach, we're going to Barry Jackson at the Miami Herald. Barry, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Hi, Coach. Obviously, Brevin and Will are both going to play a lot. It was mildly surprising that it's an either-or at tight end, not because Will isn't a good player, he clearly is, but just because Brevin is probably your most ballyhooed draft prospect. What was the thinking behind that being an either-or? Has Will simply played as well as Brevin in camp?
Yeah, great question. I think, first of all, Will Mallory has had a very good camp. I mean, he has probably been one of the most consistent guys on our football team. And so I think you probably just need to look more into the fact that Will's done really well and that we kind of view those guys as co-starters. We think they're both really good players. It's not about who's outshined the other. They're both, to your point, going to help us win. They're both going to be very involved in what we do. And we feel very confident that whoever's in the game that, we don't have to hold anything back.
Coach, we're going to go to Chris Stock from InsideTheU. Chris, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Coach, what has your relationship with De'Eric been like over the last year since you've been on, in terms of maybe one-on-one phone calls, just kind of other than just the team meetings? And then also on the field, how is your, maybe trust in him? Will he have, freedom to see things as fit kind of thing? And I know that might take time as the season goes on, but just can you speak on De'Eric on those two fronts?
Yeah, I feel good about it, where our relationship is, obviously the unique times we're in has made it a little less than ideal from just my personality, very personal. We haven't been able to spend as much time in person together over the last 6 to 8 months as we probably would have. So there's probably some things that get lost in that, but I think, he's been through a lot since he's come here. And I know we've walked along through those things together. And I think he knows how I care about him and how I believe in him. And, and hopefully that respect is mutual. I think when it comes to on the field, you're always learning players. In my experience, it takes a couple weeks to totally understand the personality of your team, especially when you have a new quarterback. Luckily, we've gotten some good work in game type situations here the best we could. I have a pretty good idea how he's going to respond, especially him being a veteran guy who's done it before. But there's still going to be a little bit of a feeling out of him learning me learning him. I think he knows I believe in him. I'm going to put him in situations the best I can to be successful. Have a lot of confidence in him. He has a lot of freedom in our offense. That's just kind of what we believe in, is empowering our players, putting them in best positions we can and letting them play and believe in them. You can't play scared. You can't play not to lose. Nobody's going to be perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. And we just got to realize at the end of every snap, we just got to go play the next play and have a lot of confidence in ourselves. And so we're trying to instill that in all our guys, especially De'Aaron. And, I think he likes having the freedom to go out there and, cut it loose. And so that's what we're going to do.
Coach, we'll wrap up with Chris Perkins from Sports Illustrated. Chris, if you had a question for Coach Lashlee.
Hey, Rhett, Manny Diaz had a quote after the last scrimmage where he was talking about the defensive line, and he said they not only made it tough on the running game, but they made it tough for the quarterbacks to hold on to the ball. And I'm wondering, is that strip sacks, and is that a reference to pass protection, or the quarterbacks protecting the ball, or just outstanding defensive line play?
I can't speak for Coach Diaz. I would think that would be just the fact that our defensive line has been very disruptive. I think our pass protection has been very solid. We've not had strip sacks and fumbles and those kind of things. I think the quarterbacks, knock on wood, have done a nice job protecting the ball. Obviously, quarterbacks aren't live most of the places around the country in scrimmages, so you wouldn't have those kind of strip sacks situations anyways. But, we don't want to hold the ball long anyways. That's just what we believe in. And so going against our defensive front gets us a lot of good practice. Hopefully, iron sharpens iron, and it's really helped our offensive line develop. And so, I can't, like I said, speak for Coach, but I'm sure it was more just his impression on how they performed up front.
Coach Lashlee, thanks for spending a few minutes with us today, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Appreciate y'all.